Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us as we work our way through summer. I know, calendar doesn't say summer yet, but you know, doggone it, it's summer, isn't it? Kids, for the most part, are out of school. Weather's been pretty good. It's the summertime season. Let's put it that way. It is certainly the summertime season. I hope that you have had a chance to get a start on this season. I hope you at least have some plans. This is always my wish for you, that you don't allow yourself to get so busy and so tied up with day-to-day life that you don't get to take advantage of all these wonderful outdoor recreational opportunities we have around us here in this great state of Michigan. Is this state perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are some things about this state that drive me crazy. Not so much about the natural resources, just about the way things are maybe managed or something, you know, along that line. You know, back when I had a TV show, I had a chance to do a lot of traveling all across the country, up into Canada, a few other countries as well. And though most of those trips were very enjoyable, and I really had a great time, and it was wonderful adventures, I always looked forward to getting back home to Michigan. I'm a Michigan guy. I was born in Michigan on the west side of the state. Grew up on the west side of the state, Kent County, just north of Grand Rapids. Went to school in this state. Started the early part of my career in this state. I've spent my entire career here in Michigan, and I make no excuse about it. I am a Michigan fanboy. I love this state. Do we have mountains? Well, we've got big hills. We don't have Rockies. Do we have oceans? No, but we got an awful lot of water. There's a lot here, a lot to do here, a lot to take advantage of. And it's my hope, my wish for you that you will certainly make plans and make the time to do that. If it means putting it on your schedule right now, your calendar, because everybody lives off a calendar these days, right? Okay, the kids have this, the grandkids have this, there's this at church, there's this going on. I get it. Man, do I get it. Make the time to make the memories. When you get down to the end and you're laying there and you're thinking back on your life, are you going to think about that extra 2 hours you spent in the office working overtime? I think probably not. But you may well remember that trip on the water with your buddy or your brother or the kids or the grandkids and the smiles on their face and the contentment in your heart. You'll remember that. I think. I haven't been there yet, but I think you will. So I have been doing my best to try to make some memories here this last week. I've actually been on the water quite a bit out there on Saginaw Bay on the Angler Quest. And I got to admit, I've been struggling my last 2 trips. I mean, I've never claimed to be an outstanding angler, but I can usually go out and catch a few fish, and I have been catching a few fish. But it's been almost uncharacteristically and uncannily and uncomfortably tough for me the last 2 trips. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I've got this thing in my mind now. Confidence is so much. I don't care if you're hunting or fishing. Probably anything in life, right? Confidence goes a long way, because if you have confidence in where you are fishing and how you are fishing, you are more likely to continue to fish that way in that spot, and you will catch fish because you're fishing hard. If you start to lose confidence and second guess yourself, and you start to change the way you fish, and you're changing baits, and you're changing depths, and you're changing locations, it's probably not going to work out too well for you. And that's kind of what's happened to me the last couple of trips. Now, I know in my heart of hearts, this was a lesson taught to me by my dad, and it's one that I try to live by every time I go in the water. Don't leave fish to find fish. Why would you? But sometimes I find myself doing it. I want to fish my beloved skinny water because it can be so good in there, and I feel so comfortable and so confident in that 10 feet of water and less. But there have been some weeds that have made it real tough to fish in there, and so I've moved out a little bit deeper to an area that's just full of fish, and everybody's been catching fish out there. In fact, I was catching fish out there last week, but I go out there now and I just can't get fish, and I just don't know what it is. I don't know. But confidence does go a long way. So tomorrow, I have a trip tomorrow. I'm taking some folks out, and and it's supposed to blow pretty good tomorrow, southwest wind. So I don't know if I can get out very far anyway, if we get out at all. If I do get out, I'm going to be limited to this area that's protected, and I'm just going to hammer it. Just keep working it over and see what happens. I think what I need is one good day to kind of get everything back on track. That's what I need. One good day to get everything back on track. Have had some great fishing partners, though. I fished with the folks from Michigan Brand Meats here a few days ago. Nick Grillo, his dad Mike Grillo, everybody calls him Butch. By the way, Nick, who, as we are recording the show right now, is in Ontario bear hunting with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. He had an interesting situation last night, as we are recording the show last night. A small bear that had been hanging around his blind came in the blind last night to say hi. So I'm going to get Nick on the show to talk about that, what that was like. And also by then, hopefully we'll have a big boar down. People say, well, boar, I thought he was bear hunting. He's not pig hunting. No, a boar is a male bear, like a sow is a female bear. So hopefully by then, he'll have another story to tell me as well. My good friend Tony Sovey, a lot of you know Tony. When Tony and I fish, it's like, okay, we start talking, we light a cigar, shooting the breeze, and it's like, oh yeah, we got fishing rods out there too. Do you have a buddy like that? Do you have trips like that? Somebody that you just, you click with so well that you just kind of enjoy the time together and the conversation and the stories, and you don't really worry about fishing? Maybe that's why I wasn't catching fish that day. So anyway, I've been struggling with fishing, just the last two trips, but I have been struggling. And I'm thinking, okay, since I stink at fishing right now, I'm just going to go play golf. Well, guess what? I stink at golf right now, too. I don't know what it is. Oh, I will get it together. I will. Speaking of golf, don't forget about the first annual Mike Avery Outdoors Charity Golf Outing coming up Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club in, obviously, West Branch. Proceeds are to benefit MUCC's youth camp. The player list is filling up fast. We do still have some openings, but it is filling up fast. What I'd really like to see is if we can get some more sponsors to jump on board and help us out there. Because, again, all this money raised goes toward MUCC's youth camp. And the youth camp, I can't think of a better cause. Something to get kids involved in the outdoors. Does it get any better than that these days? I don't think so. You can sign up online. Go to the website, mucc.org. That's mucc.org/golf. mucc.org/golf. You can sign up to play in the event and or become a sponsor of the event. Now, the sponsor levels are real. I think we should have set them higher, to be honest with you. I think we should have set some higher sponsor levels so we could make some more money for MUCC. But the sponsor levels are pretty low. You can get in at a pretty low amount. And all of you who have jumped on board and not necessarily at a smaller amount, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. I'm going to come in here very soon with a list of people who have sponsored so far and give you the credit that you deserve. What else? Well, listen, I may not be very good at fishing the last 2 trips, and I may not be very good at golf the last time I hit the course, but apparently at least I'm okay professionally, because I did get an award from the Michigan Outdoor Writers Association, a Morton F. Award, for a video piece that I did on a last-minute bear hunt up in White River, Ontario. So I find it interesting that even though now I'm doing broadcasting, podcasting, and social media, the award was actually for video. So thank you, Michigan Outdoor Writers, for that. And that was especially rewarding because I knew Mort. I got to spend some time with Mort. Mort was one of my mentors early on. So it's nice to get that acknowledgement. I appreciate that. Also, the podcast version of the radio show has been named the top Michigan outdoor podcast by FeedSpot. So thank you, FeedSpot, for that. So see, I got some things going for me. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Don Miller talks about fishing muskies on Lake St. Clair, then Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews. In our second hour, the catfishing guru, Lloyd Tanner, then Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters. And in hour number 3, Gabe VanWormer talks about his outdoor adventures here in Michigan and also in Africa. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Lots more coming up in the next 3 hours. I hope you can stick around. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM, and north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Rapid River Knives. Rapid River Knife. You know what's coming next, don't you? Rapid River Knife, this sound right here. That's the sound of my Rapid River Knife opening up, locking back. I just took it out of my pocket. I carry it with me all the time. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.us. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.us is the website. Use the promo code Avery10 to get 10% off. Or go to their showroom on US 2 just east of Rapid River. You can check them out in person, have your knife engraved. It's a really quite an experience. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.us. Before we get to our first guest, I want to just follow up on the first segment here, talking about struggling the last couple of trips. We have to be careful, and I have to be careful. You can't fall in the trap of judging your hunting and fishing outings by how many fish you catch, how big they are, or what you shoot, right? I always say it's the experience that is the experience. So I don't want you to think that I've lost track of that because I certainly have not. If you want an experience that is probably one of the coolest fishing experiences you will ever have, head to Lake St. Clair this summer and go musky fishing. They used to say muskies were the fish of 10,000 casts. Well, you go to Lake St. Clair, and you're probably not going to be casting for them for the most part, and if you were, it's not going to take you 10,000 because that lake is full of fish. Don Miller knows that very well. Don has been fishing Lake St. Clair for muskies forever. And he joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Hey, Don, welcome back. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Very well, thank you.
So, your beloved Lake St. Clair, what a fish factory, what a world-class resource that, or fishery that is now.
Lake St. Clair could probably produce more 50-inch fish in one day than any other musky lake known in North America. It's got that potential in it right now because of the catch and release ethics going on out there today. So most of the people are putting the fish back in the lake and letting things get bigger, and it seems to be a barrier with a lot of fishermen in the fraternity there to get that 50-inch line is kind of like a goal of theirs, but it can be a reality in one trip out to Lake St. Clair today. You don't have to take many,
So 50 inch, that's kind of the standard. That's where a fish becomes a true trophy.
Yep. It's with a lot of people in the musky fishing world, 50 inches is their goal. They want to achieve 50, and then they want to go up to a 54 or something like that. 50 inches is a big notch on their gun belts as a figure of speech, and it's very doable on Lake St. Clair. I mean, they don't need to go far, and it's right in the backdrop of Detroit, so it's just a little ways outside Detroit. It's right there, and it's probably one of the best musky fisheries in the world today.
How many 50-inch fish do you think have come over the sides of your boat over the years?
Oh my God! Just to give you a guesstimate, I would guess it's over 500.
Oh my gosh!
I've seen that many, and I don't get out as much as I used to anymore. But I got to tell you, the guys I know that are out there doing it a lot more than what I am right now, because I'm just getting older. I can't go on forever. I got to tell you, they're seeing a lot of 50-inch fish, and I'm seeing pictures of them. You know, they're there. I've been on their boats with them too, just with them some days, and they're. I got to tell you, it's an invitation, and I'm seeing some things happen, and it's real.
So
it's there.
Are you
better than it ever has been?
Better than it ever has been. That's quite a statement coming from you, Don.
It's better than it ever has been.
Wow. So are you actively running charters these days or not?
I am. I'm still running some charters.
Good. Good for you. Good for you. When you head out on the lake in the morning, what is your setup? How do you troll for these things? Because it's trolling for you, right? But how do you set up? What's your spread look like?
My spread, I would say, I start off with 8 rods. I like 8 rods. I like 2 under prop wash with 5 feet of line behind the boat. I like to go to the 10-foot long rods in the corners, the Dixie rods, and angle them down toward the boat with 10 or 12 ounces of inline sinker on it, and put it back about 15 feet behind the boat. And then I go to 2 on each side of my planer board with an inside pocket and an outside pocket. The outside pocket I usually like to stage with, I do opposites, like if I went to a 4-ounce inline sinker, I would put it back about 40 feet back, and on the opposite side of the boat in the same slot, I would go to something like a 2-ounce sinker and 40 feet back. And then your next inside pocket that went up from the 2-ounce sinker, I would go to like a 5 or a 6-ounce inline sinker and back about 30 feet. And then I would stage other inline inside pocket board at about 3 and 30, 3 ounces and 30 feet back.
Did I hear
Go
you
ahead.
say? Did I hear you say you run one 5 feet behind the boat in the prop wash?
Correct. I absolutely do. I mean, they're not afraid of boats. People have to understand that this is a top of the line predator in fresh water. I mean, you could catch a northern pike or a muskie and be reeling your little perch up close to the boat, and they'll come up close right to the boat and attack that bluegill or perch. So
Yeah.
they don't know what boats are. You know, put the bait right there. That's a great spot to disguise a bigger lure right in that boat's prop wash and all the bubbles right there. And speeds of, your speed of trolling should be always relative to the clarity of your water. But I would say that the dirtier the water, like a green stain to it, you might slow down a little bit, down to like 4 miles an hour or 4.5 miles an hour. But if you're getting in real clean water, you're going to want to speed it up and maybe downsize your bait a little bit and get into your 5 and 6 inch jobs and fish with them behind the boat and up to speed to 6.5 to 7 miles an hour.
Holy cow. So when you say slow down to 4 miles an hour, I'm thinking I've never hit 4 miles an hour in my life trolling. You guys are moving right along.
Yeah, you got to figure they can strike. If their bait is not coming out of the water and it's still wiggling in the water, you can't move fast enough to get away from muskies. If they can strike it at speeds of 20 to 40 miles an hour, that don't mean they swim around the lake that fast, but they'll recoil and strike out a lot like a rattlesnake at something and lunge out and grab it, and you want to project an image to them. You don't want them to see it real good. You want them to project an image. And it's an action-reaction sort of trigger-type strike that they do. But it works, and it's very effective. Casting has taken off today. Guys are casting out there with medusas, and they're doing very well casting now, too. So casting it used to be that, you would be there for a week or two to get a strike or a follow or something. But today, guys are catching a lot of fish casting. So the lake is doing very good. It's healthy.
Wow. You mentioned follow. I know when you're casting for fish, you can see the follow. When you're trolling, you can't tell if you get a follow, can you? Can you see a fish back there?
No, you can't. You can't see it. I have stood on the back of the boat with my polarized sunglasses, watching the water on the prop bubbles back there, and seen some pretty big things porpoise right in the boat's prop wash right there. Like and not before you can say anything to anybody, it's gone. But you've seen it, and you know that they're cruising you pretty good right there. You know, they're looking at you. You know, so that's a good stuff.
When a muskie hits, what's it like?
You'll know it. They're not happy about it. If you never had a tiger by the tail, you might know what one might feel like if you get in a wrestling match with one of these 25 to 40 pound fish that they got running around with their 50-inch job. A 45 to 54-inch fish, he's going to let you know that he's not real happy with you. And it would be like fighting a salmon on steroids or something. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's different, and that's what keeps you coming back. It's not the same. And I'm not going to condemn the salmon fishermen. I love those guys. I know a lot of them, but it's a harder fight. If they can start with 5 feet behind the boat, I've had these fish take off and go out 180, 200 yards from me in a matter of just 2 or 3 minutes and get out there, and then they bulldog you. They fight you every inch of the way.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination. Great people, great facilities. In fact, this weekend, Linwood Beach is the host. They are hosting the Walleye for Warriors event on Saginaw Bay. If you are around the bay on Sunday afternoon, swing by and welcome the vets as they come back in through the channel there at Linwood Beach Marina. LinwoodBeachMarina.com, LinwoodBeachMarina.com. Saginaw Bay, of course, one of our wonderful fisheries here in this state, known primarily for walleye these days. Another great fishery, Lake St. Clair, the southeast part of the state. Lake St. Clair is known for perch and walleye, smallmouth, but also they are very well known for their musky fishing, world-class musky fishing. And Don Miller of Miller's Motor City Muskies, millers-sportfishing.com, has been out there for a long, long time. And Don, you learned under the master himself, didn't you?
I did. Homer LeBlanc. He was there. He invented the method of prop wash trolling behind the boat. So I was behind his house for 10 years there. He was quite a guy. He forgot more than what a lot of guys know. You know, he was considered the Pope of Lake St. Clair in my book, and a lot of others too. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, and he's for good reason. He knew what he was doing out there. You know.
If he was the Pope of Lake St. Clair, does that make you a bishop?
I wouldn't say that. I'm pretty humbled by that. No, I wouldn't go that far. But that guy. You know, when I used to fish with Homer, I used proven methods of baits when I would go, and he would fish one side of his boat, and I would fish the other, and you know, he would go out with his experiments, and he would carve baits and paint them, and put hooks on them with eye screws, and he would take them out. And as far as he went, at the end of the day, I might have outfished Homer in numbers with proven stuff. The swim whizzes he invented himself way back when. But if he could run an experiment and catch a fish on it, this was a success to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so and he would do that quite frequently with me on the boat, and I would watch and I would learn that stuff from him. And he had a way of doing things where he wanted it done his way, and he'd let you know that there's no other way to do it. So kind of got embedded in me a little bit from fishing with him quite a few times out there and taking some lessons from him when we were alone together, a friend of me and him together on the boat. We would go out and he would pass along a lot of his information.
Back when you were fishing with Homer in the early days, was catch and release the norm? What were folks doing back then, Don?
Well, it had just come in. It wasn't as common as it is today. It was just coming in, and the catch and keep thing was still coming in. And along the Canadian shore, they were still keeping 30-inch fish. And on the U.S. side, we were allowed to keep a 38-inch fish. And I was an advocate of catch and release because biologically you have to understand that they don't start reproducing until they get to be 8 to 10 years old, and which is roughly a 38 to 40-inch fish. So you wanted things to reproduce. If you were taking something before it had a chance to reproduce, that really is not fair to the resource that's there. You want it to grow and get big because you knew that these fish had the potential to really get big. You'd like to have a picture taken with them, and a lot of guys would like to see a 54-inch fish or a 50-inch fish. So you don't want to take anything away like that. You want them to reproduce, and 1/10 of 1% of a mature female that lays 100,000 eggs will live to adulthood. So that's only 100. So if you're a purist, you understand that, and you want to put these fish back in the lake and respect the resource a little bit more and make it better for the future, so that when you're done with it, you can say it's a better place. You know.
Don, if somebody was coming into Lake St. Clair and they wanted to do some musky fishing, if they wanted to bring their own boat down, could you just splash your boat and go out and catch some fish, or is it the type of fishery where you really need to go out with a captain first, learn what's going on and how to do it before you venture out there yourself, at least to increase your odds of getting fish?
I would always recommend taking a captain out. You wouldn't go to a golf course and go golfing without taking a lesson from a pro first, okay? I mean, I think that's just smart. I mean, that way you get an idea on what's going on and the right type of tackle you need, and so you don't spend your money the wrong way and buy the wrong stuff and then come back and not understand why your stuff isn't working correctly. I think if you went out with any good professional in the field out there, the light bulb's going to turn on so much more in your head. But to answer your question, is it possible that you could go out there and lay into a lunker your first time out in your own boat? It's very possible today. That didn't used to be the case. Okay, it's potential. The potential is there, but if you want to do it correctly, I think that it's good thinking and smart of the person to invest in any good charter once or twice and get the feel of the area, get knowledgeable about things, what the setup's like, the types of baits that are used. You're not going to waste your time or money that way.
Don Miller, always a pleasure. Good fishing to you, buddy. Don Miller of Miller's Motor City Muskies. The website millers-sportfishing.com. Millers-sportfishing.com. He is an icon on Lake St. Clair when it comes to fishing muskies. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, we'll wrap up this opening hour with Tom Campbell from Woods-n-Waternews. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM. You can hear us on the other side of the state in Taos, WIOS 1480 AM 106.9 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Matt Smith, Outdoors Realtor. Matt, a good friend of mine. He's an expert at finding recreational properties and vacation homes, and he can help your family turn a dream into a reality. Learn more online at Matt Smith Outdoors on Facebook and on Instagram. And by the way, if you're looking for a new home as your primary residence, Matt can help you out there as well. If you're waiting for for everything to fall in place perfectly, the interest rates, the availability of properties, your bank account, your stage in life, if you're waiting for all of that to gel and just hit this perfect mark, it's probably not going to happen. So you've got to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. And Matt Smith is very, very good at helping you to weave through all this different process and try to figure out what's best for you. Again, check him out online at Matt Smith Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. While you are online, please go to my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and then jump over to woods-n-waternews.com. You know that as the website of Michigan's premier outdoor publication, Woods-n-Waternews. Tom Campbell with us once again. Tom, welcome back. How's it going?
Just fine, Mike. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to talk with the folks at Woods and Water because you've always got something going on.
we generally do. You're right, Mike. But right now we're kind of right in that in between. We're a week away from the June issue coming out, and I'm sorry, the July issue. See, even I get confused on this. Our July issue is just a week from hitting the newsstands, but we still got that June issue out there on the newsstands that's loaded with some great reading for sure.
I would think that this time of year, like June, July, you can be pretty well assured of what's going to be going on, as opposed to the months like March or October. It's like you don't quite know where you're going to be, at least, so far in advance as you have to work.
That's right. You're exactly right. Yeah, and in the last few years with the ice situation, it's been a hit and miss for sure. So yeah, you're always running that risk, but it's always great reading. It's always a story you can remember. You can remember some of the details and come back to it. You can go online. You can look at our archives. So it's always it's the way I look at it, Mike, there's never a bad story, right?
And never a bad issue, never a bad edition of the magazine.
Thank you. I like that. I like that even better.
Hey, looking back over the years, are there any stories or topics that jump out at you that go, wow, that thing really got some legs. People really, really jumped on that.
Mike, years ago, obviously, hunters' mindset has changed a lot with social media, obviously, and things have changed gears. But there was a time when, early on, when the issue of shooting more does was such a hot topic. I don't know, you remember that?
That
was kind of when I first started here, and then we went into the baiting issue, and oh my goodness, the baiting issue. I'll never forget those years of the baiting issue and the first of the QDMA ideas coming out, and how that was just ravaging hunters in Michigan, and those things probably those two, maybe because we're kind of more deer oriented too here at Woods-n-Waters, that those really stick out in my mind, obviously, over the history of Woods-n-Waternews.
In looking at those issues and others, though, my sense is you guys don't really take a stand one way or another. You present both sides of the situation and then let your readers decide.
That's exactly that. You hit it. That's our goal. That's our philosophy here. Absolutely. And we've tried to do that on all these issues, and it gets harder and harder all the time because people seem to be blinded that they only see what they don't want to see sometimes, so they don't see what we did on the other side of it. So, but yeah, that's exactly right. We present the information, and the readers, they have the responsibility of figuring out what's best for them and what they, which way they want to believe and which way they want to go. So that's Woods-n-Waters for you. That's exactly what we try to do. Some say we sit on the fence, but we only don't sit on the fence when it's something against the outdoors or something against sportsmen or something against hunting and fishing.
Well, if you can make people on both sides of an issue mad at you, you're probably doing a pretty good job.
That's right. That's right. You're right, Mike. That's so true.
So, all right. So the June edition is out now. When will we see the July edition?
So July issue. The issue will hit the newsstands next weekend. So that'll be fantastic.
Well, and forgive me because I always say edition, which is from my frame of reference. I know it's issue. I try to make myself say issue, Tom, and it always comes out edition. So Forgive me for
we
that.
use them both too. So it's whatever we think of at the time. Like everybody knows what we're talking about.
Exactly, they do. Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews. You can get the next issue or edition coming up next weekend. Woods-n-waternews.com. That's woods-n-waternews.com. Always appreciate talking with Tom Campbell. We'll take a break here for the top of the hour. When we come back in our second hour, we're going to talk with Lloyd Tanner, who's the catfish guru. A couple of years ago, he caught a new state record flathead, 53 pounds and change. I didn't realize this. He was recently featured on Michigan Outdoors TV. I'm not piggybacking on him. I didn't even know that, but he's going to join us. And then Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters coming up in hour 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. Here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And as always, I do believe the best way to listen to this program, if you can, is on your local AM or FM radio station. If you can't, if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, isn't it nice to know there's a podcast version of the show made available? Now, the podcast is the same content as the radio show. It's just made available in a different form, in a different spot. Well, where do you hear the podcast version of the radio show? I put it on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I put it on the Facebook page. It's on Amazon Music, Audible, Twitter, now called X, LinkedIn, Apple Music, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, yada, 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 even YouTube. Oh, and by the way, the podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show is named Michigan's Best Outdoor Podcast by FeedSpot. FeedSpot is a podcasting platform. So thank you, FeedSpot. I appreciate that. I also do podcasts every month for Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, and Primal Outdoors. Last week, I talked with Bob Ransom of Primal. You can find that on their website, primaloutdoors.com. Today, I'm recording an offshore podcast. When I get done here in the radio studio, I'll be talking to the man himself, chairman of the boards, Bruce DeShano. And then next week, and you can hear that at offshoretackle.com, and next week, I will be doing another Angler Quest podcast. So keep an ear out for those as in addition to the radio show. Regardless, though, of how you are hearing my voice, when you are hearing my voice, thank you. I do appreciate it so very much. Wouldn't be able to do this without your support. You might remember a couple of years ago, and I find it hard to believe it was 2 years ago, because in my mind, it was just last summer. Big news. A guy named Lloyd Tanner caught a new state record flathead catfish. 53 pounds and change. Now, that's a big catfish. At the time, I reached out to Lloyd, because I didn't know anything about the guy. Did a little research online, and it appeared that it wasn't an incidental catch, that he was one of those guys who goes out there and targets catfish. Now, you might have seen a show on Michigan Outdoors TV a couple of weeks ago where Lloyd was featured. I didn't know they did that, so I'm not piggybacking on Michigan Outdoors, although that's not a bad group to piggyback on. I reached out to Lloyd, said, can you give me a few minutes this morning as we were recording the show? And he said, absolutely. So to switch gears, not to talk walleye, not to talk muskies, not to talk bass, let's talk catfish with the catfish guru, Lloyd Tanner. Lloyd, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, a real pleasure. I enjoyed that piece from Michigan Outdoors, though. They as always, they did a real nice job with that. I thought it was real nice and helped explain what you guys are all about.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show too. It was a good time doing it. Yeah, I had fun doing it.
Did you think that your prominence in the fishing world, did you ever expect to see this happen, that so many people know who you are now?
No, never. Yeah, it's really kind of exploded in the last couple of years. So yeah, it's something.
Is it good though? Is it positive?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely good. It helps out our fishing trail. We do the Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail, and we get a lot of new anglers from all the the exposure from it, and we appreciate all the everything. So
Well, you've done more for catfishing in Michigan than anybody I can think of. That's for sure.
yeah.
You know what I like about your trail too is
Yeah.
it's boat fishermen and bank fishermen. That opens up a whole new world. I think that is so cool.
Yeah, we added the bank fishermen in. We had them fishing with us in the beginning, and then the bank fishing kind of went away and didn't have enough interest in it. But since we started doing it again, it's gotten pretty big, and I expect it to get a lot bigger. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we can talk more about that here coming up in a couple of minutes. But I want to go back to when you caught that state record catfish. I believe it was 2 years ago now, which I find hard to believe.
Yeah.
If I remember, it was a flathead, and it was 53 pounds and change. Tell me the story. Where were you, Lloyd?
We were on the St. Joe River. We were fishing. I believe it was Friday of the Memorial weekend. I had plans really to go out Friday and Sunday, so I didn't want to stay out that late on Friday. Had my nephew and a buddy out with us, and we were just out cruising the river. We weren't doing very good, and they kind of talked me into fishing one more spot. I was ready to go home. They said, let's go to another spot, and I'm glad we did. I mean, that's where I caught them. We pulled over. It was, I believe, 11 o'clock, May 28th. Yeah, caught him right around 11 o'clock. He was certified May 29th of 22. So, yeah. He took a big chunk of alewife, probably a 4-minute fight. Got him wrapped up in some logs and bought him out of there. I mean, it was a pretty intense fight. But yeah, when we pulled him over to the side of the boat, I knew he was big. I just didn't know how big. We always carry scales with us, so when we weighed him, he was just on. I mean, just over. I think he read 52.7 on our tournament scale, which isn't certified. So I called a bunch of friends and stuff. Hey, I might have it. And my guy Todd down at Eagle Creek Marina, he said, bring the fish by and we'll see what we can do. He knew Jay Wesley, and he got a hold of Jay early in the morning, and then we got it. We found a certified scale, which is very difficult to do on a Memorial weekend because everybody's off having a good time. So, yeah, I got some guys to come in. Tim Nitz, I believe his name, Clearwater Meats. He had a certified scale, and he came in on his day off, and we got it certified. And then Jay came down. We signed all the paperwork, and it was official.
And what did the weight end up being, Lloyd?
53.35. And the best part was he was released alive and healthy, and he swam off, and he's still out there.
Oh, so if he gets caught again, he's going to be bigger, and he's going to break your record.
I would hope so.
That's pretty cool. And I heard, and I didn't know this until I saw the Michigan Outdoors piece, if you would have caught that fish on a rod right next to it in your stack of rod holders, it would have been a pretty good day for you, even better.
Yeah. Catfishing has evolved. There's a lot of new rod companies specifically for catfishing, And one of the companies is Big Cat Beaver Rods. They offer $20,000 if you break a state record using one of their rods. And I had that rod and it, sure enough, it bit off of a rod that I bought at Bass Pro, a musky rod. And he bit off of that. But
man,
that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, it is, but it is nice that you were able to catch that fish and bring such positive attention to the sport of catfishing. You say, Lloyd, that it has evolved. What do you mean by that? How has it evolved?
It's evolved that there's way more people participating in catfishing. It's a growing sport. Everybody wants to catch them big catfish. And Michigan's a great state to do it. I fish all over the country. I've fished Indiana, obviously. I live in Indiana, so Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, South Carolina, Alabama, and Michigan is way up there. I'd say my favorite state to fish for catfish. A lot of other states, they have commercial fishing, and it makes it really difficult to get any good fishing in with a lot of the commercial fishing. And Michigan doesn't allow commercial fishing on the inland waters, and it makes it a much better fishery up here.
Lloyd, I got to take a break here. Can you stick around a few more minutes?
Yes.
I appreciate that. We're talking with Lloyd Tanner, catfish guru. He talked about the Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail. You can find them on Facebook, and it's not a closed group. You can go there and check it out like I did. Check out the pictures, learn more about the event at Facebook, Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail. And as I said, it is open to boat fishermen and bank fishermen. I think that's very cool. Even if you don't have a boat all rigged up for cats, you can go find yourself a honey hole, throw a chunk of live bait out there, or cut bait, and wait and see what happens. Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail on Facebook. His name is Lloyd Tanner. He's got the state record Michigan flathead of 53 1/3 pounds, and we'll learn more about that and catfishing in general. After the break, then, we'll switch gears. We'll talk to Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com, about how you can go down there this fall. If you want to try your first out-of-state hunt, I think this is a great option. We'll have Bill on. And in hour number 3, Gabe VanWormer talks about his Michigan and African outdoor adventures. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Carroll on 2 stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. And let's go to the Sioux, WKNW 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots, Michigan-based, family-owned Killer Food Plots. This is the time to be getting those food plots in. Mother Nature seems like she's cooperating. You want to maximize your food plot planting efforts, right? You've got some money into these things. You've got some time invested. So why not get the best results possible? Because what you do now can have a direct impact on your deer hunting coming up this fall. The website for Killer Food Plots is killerfoodplots.com, killerfoodplots.com. Go to that website. Check out the services they have to offer. Check out the different seed blends that they recommend. And, of course, speaking for Rich Krazan, he's going to tell you the first thing you need to do is get a soil sample. So get your soil sample, go to killerfoodplots.com, and you will be off and running. Talking now with catfish guru Lloyd Tanner. Lloyd has the Michigan state record flathead catfish of 53 pounds and change. Lloyd, you said you went to the St. Joe. Is all of your catfishing, is it all in rivers?
No, not necessarily. I do a lot of lake fishing, but not necessarily up in Michigan. We stick to the rivers because the main attraction are the big flatheads, and there's not many big flatheads, roaming around in the lakes and stuff. So we stick to Saginaw, Grand River, Kalamazoo River and the St. Joe River.
And are there big flatheads in there? Do those fish in those rivers jump out to the big water to feed and get big and come back up the river? Or is it your sense they are resident fish in those rivers?
Oh, I feel like probably 60% of all them fish that enter some of them rivers come from the big lakes, even Saginaw. You get them from the lakes. They either enter the rivers in the spring, or they'll mainly winter out in the big lakes. Like, say, my thinking is on the St. Joe that in the fall they'll drop down into Lake Michigan. But there are a lot of fish that remain in the river throughout the the winter and all that. But I'd say majority come from the big lakes.
So you said flatheads.
Yeah.
You target them because they're the biggest of the catfish. Is that accurate?
Yeah, they're the biggest, but channels are very big too. We've caught channels like on the trail. 26 pound is our trail record.
Wow.
I've personally caught a channel 36 pounds, which is pretty close to the state record. And we've seen a lot of 30 pounders on our off weekends. So it's just, you see some big channels, but the flatheads, they get a little bit bigger. And I feel like 53 there's much bigger in there.
Yeah, that's the thing about a state record. I don't care how big the fish is. There's something bigger out there.
Oh, there is. There is. I feel like I've hooked into a few. I know a few other guys that have hooked into a few, and even with our overrated gear that we use, they still make fools out of us. They just take off, and you can't stop them. I would say sturgeon would be something that would be equivalent to what these guys do.
That's like interesting because in the Grand, in the Saginaw, or in the St. Joe, you could catfishing. You could hook into a sturgeon. Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have guys on our trail that catch them all the time. I've seen one in our tournament that he took a few pictures. We didn't weigh it, but he was close to 30, 40 pounds. So it was kind of a small one, but that was still a sturgeon.
A sturgeon, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you fish for flatheads and channel cats the same way?
I do, meaning more that, like, there's more of a channel cat season. Early in the season, you're going to tend to catch more channel cats, say up until about Memorial Weekend. Flatheads kind of remain dormant throughout winter, and they just don't feed as much in the cooler water. It really needs to warm up for the flatheads to get active. They usually pick up after Memorial Weekend. So the channels come in first. I fish really the same holes I'm fishing for channels and flatheads. They'll take the same spots, but it's different times of year that flatheads will be there versus channels will be there.
So what's the technique? Is it throwing a chunk of cut bait out there and let it sit on the bottom and just let the current waft it back and forth and wait?
Pretty much. You're looking for places where catfish really hole up or rest up, or kind of like their homes. The big log jams, the big deep holes, drop-offs. It could be a single big tree that blocks the current for them. You're looking for those spots, and then you try to set up upstream of them. Either if you're using cut baits or something with scent, shad, alewives, cut creek chubs, that type of stuff. And don't shot. A lot of guys think that you have to use live bait to catch flatheads, and it's totally untrue. I've caught more bigger flatheads. Like some of my biggest flatheads have all come off of just cut bait, as long as it's fresh. There are whitetails, let it sit in the sun and soak up, and no, you want it to be as fresh as possible. So
So you said your big fish, your state record. He took you into the logs. He's 53 pounds. He took you into log jam. So I'm thinking the fact that you got him out, you must be using some pretty heavy gear.
Yeah, we're using medium heavy rods, some heavy rods. I prefer a medium heavy, but I mean, we tournament fish, so we want to make sure we get our fish in. So I'm using 80-pound braid, just maybe 4 or 5 ounces of weight, depending on current, a little swivel, and just a simple slip sinker rig. A lot of guys will use floats and all that. I prefer to just simple rig. I mean, nice 10-aught circle hook, or maybe even downsizing sometimes, but it's 50-pound mono leader line, and the only thing I ever change is my leader length based off of current. You don't want your bait really flipping around in there. If you got strong current, you want to shorten the leader length, and you kind of do want it to sit on bottom, because if you're fishing close to log jams, the less leader and the less sway you got in it, the less likely you're going to snag up.
So with that circle hook, do they end up hooking themselves?
Yeah, circle hook's designed that you don't really set a hook on it. You kind of, the way we do it is we lock it in our rod holders, we engage it, and when the fish pulls down, he takes the rod down, and it sets the hook almost all by itself right in the corner of the mouth, almost 90% of the time, I bet.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect, especially for catch and release. And I know that you, is your tournament trail, is that mandatory, or is that just something you guys practice?
Yeah,
because
that's mandatory. It's all catch and release. The boat guys, we allow them to keep 3 fish, and every fish has to swim away after weigh-in. So that's one of our mandatory rules. Everybody's very good about keeping their fish alive. You change your water, you have aerators. The live wells that the boat guys have are massive. I 120 gallons,
they better
80
be.
gallons.
They better be for fish that size.
Yeah, because I mean, some of our biggest weigh-ins have been 3 fish for 100 pounds. So
wow.
The bank guys, we do it a little bit simpler for them. That way, they're allowed a 1 fish weigh-in. Much easier for them to be able to travel around with just say 1 fish, but they also are required to have live wells, keep their fish alive, and they've done phenomenal job this year. Everybody just just watches, and everybody releases their fish. Everybody's kept their fish healthy, and that's really what we're all about. So,
Lloyd, I got a stupid question for you. I don't think I've ever seen a flathead. I've seen an awful lot of channel cats. In fact, caught some real big channel cats out trolling for walleye the last few days on Saginaw Bay, and they put up a heck of a fight. But what's the difference? If I had a flathead and a channel side by side, would it be obvious?
Oh, it would definitely be obvious. One is the color. Flatheads are a much darker color, almost a camouflage. Olive, gray, or greenish, dark, sometimes black. And their lower lip always will protrude their upper lip. And that's mainly because they're coming up. They're a predator, so they usually lay on the bottom and then come up on their prey or whatever. They love live baits and all that. So, I don't. Channel cat, it's very easy to tell them. Yeah,
gotcha. So. Well, I think it's wonderful that you and people on the Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail and others like you that love catfishing have changed the reputation of catfish. It used to be here in Michigan, and I was guilty of this, that I thought of catfish into the trash fish. I thought them, like sheephead and such, but they're not. And I realize that now because of guys like you, Lloyd.
Okay. Yeah. I've been fishing in Michigan for 35 years, so it's always been known as a trash fish. I'd get laughed at. Why do you drive all the way up here to fish for catfish? And But it's definitely changed. It's changing all across the country. More people want to catch the bigger fish, and I mean, hopefully one day we can get Jay Wesley to get a little help and maybe get some regulations changed, protect our big catfish that we have. But yeah, we're pretty excited about how everybody's kind of jumping on board. And
well, keep up the good work on the Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail, and I can't wait to get a phone call from you, Lloyd Tanner, saying, Avery, I just broke my own record. When that happens, you call me, all right?
All right, I will.
All right, Lloyd, good fishing to you. Lloyd Tanner, catfishing guru, Facebook page, Michigan Catfish Anglers Trail, for more about this tournament circuit that he's talking about. We'll take a break. When we come back, Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Flint on Sports Extra 1330 WTRX. You can hear us in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Escanaba on WCHT 600 AM 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Premier Maritime Training. If you have ever wanted to get your captain's license, I think this could be your best bet. Captain John Littlefield taught my captain's class, and if he can help me become a charter captain, help me get my license, believe me, he can help you get your charter license as well. Check out the website, pmtcaptains.com, for more info, pmtcaptains.com. John has classes across the state, and I'm sure you can find one that'll fit your schedule. That's pmtcaptains.com. If you want to hear more from John, find the podcast from last week. He was a guest, and we talked more about this. He was if I remember right, he was in the first hour. So find the podcast for last week, pmtcaptains.com. Okay, so have you ever wanted to hey, look, I love Michigan, right? You love Michigan. We're Michiganders. We love what our state has to offer. We love our natural resources. We love our hunting and fishing opportunities. But every once in a while, isn't it kind of nice just to go somewhere else and see what else is out there? If you have ever wanted to do an out-of-state deer hunt, I have a recommendation for you. His name is Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. I've known Bill forever. Back when I had a TV show, we used to go down there. I've been down there for the last couple of years. Not going to make it this year. My daughter Shelby decided she was going to have a baby right during the hunting season. And Bill Pyles, I think that's pretty poor timing, don't you?
Yeah, she probably should have checked with you.
She should have checked with. That's exactly what I said.
She should have checked. She should have checked in. But congratulations on your grandbaby.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, you're a family guy. Cool. I know you get it. You love your grandkids. But even though I'm not going to be there, Bill, I still think it's a heck of an opportunity, and I want to talk more about this because you get a lot of your hunters from Michigan, don't you?
I'd say probably 35 to 40% of our clientele are from Michigan.
What do those Michigan boys think when they come down there with you for the first time?
Sometimes it's almost like a culture shock, the way the land is. I mean, you guys are pretty flat up there. You get down here, we're at the foothills of the Appalachians, and yeah, the new guys are very pleased with what they come into.
Well, if all you see of Ohio is driving down 75, you're just nothing but flat farm fields. You get down there by guys. Yeah. Holy cow. It is surprisingly rugged.
It's amazing just the difference. Even from here, from our house to the farms in Licking and Knox and Coshocton that we hunt, totally different terrain. It's a pretty cool area.
Licking, Knox, Coshocton counties. I know those three counties as being pretty well known across the country as big buck counties.
Yes, and Licking County it's pretty special right now. I don't know what's driving it, but I think what's driving most of it is 100% private. Licking County is number one in the state for Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett. Knox is number 4, and Coshocton is number 5, I do believe.
Wow.
So it's a great area.
So how do you end up there? I mean, is it because you've been doing this forever that you have in with some of these locals?
Yeah, and it's a lot of footwork. I mean, this is the guys don't see everything that goes into these hunts before they get here, but it's a lot of footwork, a lot of door knocking, a lot of networking. So it's worked out, and now we get calls all the time about people looking to lease their land out, making a little bit of extra income, especially in these times. So leases are not hard to find, but they're getting tougher and tougher.
And when you do find them, I got to believe they're not cheap these days with the reputation your area has.
No, sir. They know what the farmers and landowners know what they have now. So, which is fine. I mean, it's you pay to play. I hate to say that, but that's the way it's been going for the past 20, 25 years.
So what are your hunts like, Bill? I mean, these aren't canned hunts. You're not behind a fence. This is complete free range, right?
Yes, these are 100% fair chase hunts. We include meals and lodging in our hunt prices. It is fully guided. The farms are all set up. The stands are set. I'm busy doing stands and stuff right now on 2 new farms. So we're a very mobile operation. You don't come here and hunt the same set for 5 days. That doesn't happen.
Well, we
move around a lot.
When you say fully guided, and the first time I heard that, I thought, oh crap, he's going to be sitting over my shoulder. No, that's not what it means.
No, sir. No, it just means that everything is done. Everything is done. Pretty much all our hunters do is hunt. When they get out there, they're by themselves. We're not with them. That's going to cost you extra. That's the super gold platinum package.
I'll pay you extra not to go with me, okay?
There you go. I'll send Neil.
Send Neil. Your son Neil. And you say, Neil, well, it is a family operation, and that's one of the reasons I like you guys, Bill.
It is 100% family. It's myself, my wife, who's lodge mom, does all the cooking, takes care of all the behind-the-scenes stuff, which is a bunch, and then Neil and my daughter Heather. So it is a 100% family year-round operation.
It's Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters, the website OhioBowhuntingOutfitters.com. I got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. I know Bill is going to stick around because I want to talk with him more, and I also have an Ask Avery question for him. But if you're looking for an out-of-state hunt, and you're maybe a little bit hinky, right? I want to do this. I don't want to spend good money on an operation that I don't know, that I don't trust. I've hunted with Bill. I know Bill. I will vouch for Bill. So if that eases your concern at all, OhioBowhuntingOutfitters.com. Or if you want, shoot me an email at Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'll put you guys in touch with each other. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. And you can hear us in Manistee on WTIQ 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. By the way, they came on board as a very early sponsor of the first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing, too. So thank you, Security Credit Union, for that. You can check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Now, you know the way the Ask Avery segment works. This is your chance to get involved in the content of the show. If you have a question, send it to me, preferably via email, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. A question I often get, and I was talking with Gary Morgan of Wild Game Dynasty about this last week. I'm going to follow up with Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters, OhioBowhuntingOutfitters.com. A question I often get is, Avery, I know you've had some experience, hunting with different outfitters kind of all over the place for a variety of different species. And they say, how do you know what makes a good outfitter? What do you look for? Well, I have my thoughts, but as long as we've got Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters on the phone line with us right now, Bill, I want to throw that out to you. What makes a good outfitter, and what should somebody look for when they're trying to pick an outfitter?
A lot of guys ask me that. When we look for bear outfitters, I found a bear outfitter that I've been with for years. I look for somebody that this is their job. This is all they do. I don't know how somebody puts the amount of time and effort into these hunts that we put in, hundreds and hundreds of hours. So I look for an outfitter that is a full-time outfitter, preferably a family-run operation, or not a lot of employees or outside influence. You show up to a hunt, you meet the outfitter, he's 56, 57 years old. He's been doing it for, 20, 30 years. And then you meet his guides. His guides are 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And if you ask the guides and they can't answer basic questions, or if they're not, if they're not proficient, I mean, everybody has to start somewhere, but for a guide service, I mean, you've got to have quality people.
I always say a good thing to do is to, talk with previous customers, but specifically previous clients who didn't get an animal, because if they didn't get an animal and would still go back, that says a lot, I think.
Yes, sir. That's a great question to ask an outfitter. Can I have a list of people who are unsuccessful? The guys that are successful, they're going to write great reviews and, they're going to have positive comments. But if you talk to a few people that don't harvest an animal, that is a great way to tell something about an operation, is to talk to somebody that has not been successful. And success is not always putting a critter on the ground. That's not, in my eyes, it's not success.
Right.
If you go into a hunt just wanting to kill something and not have the experience, that kind of knocks it down a little bit for me. But that's different. As you get older, everything changes, as you know.
Oh, hey, what are you talking about?
As you know.
Yes, I well know.
We're mature. We're not old, we're mature.
That's right, we're experienced. So, do you have openings this fall yet?
Yes, I still have, I think we have 7 bow hunts available. And then I have 3 spots open for your hunt, the Avery Outdoor Magazine hunt.
Which, unfortunately, I'm not going to be at this year, but that's beyond my control. I don't, like you, I don't want to judge a hunt on whether you harvest or not. But what are the odds that somebody's going to shoot a buck with you, or at least get a shot opportunity on a nice buck?
To say that the week that you guys come is our first full week of hunters. So we have 3 or 4 guys that hunt early season, but that hunt frame, that's the first time that we're really in the timber hard. So everything's fresh. Everything's, we said I've got 165 stands set right now. So having fresh stands is not a problem.
Man.
But
165 stands. Wow.
Yeah. The ladder stands, hang-ons, elevated. And you know how we run our operation and the equipment we use. I keep our equipment very, very updated.
Well, Bill, I am sorry that I'm not going to make it down this year, but I've always had a wonderful experience with you, and I can say without a doubt, if somebody books with you, they will also have a very good quality experience. The website is ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. The week that we have set aside is the 3rd week in October, which should be starting to get pretty good, Bill.
That's our pre-rut. I mean, I love the pre-rut. It's and we've tried to move your hunt up a few days here and there each year. And this year with the moon and everything, I think that week is going to be pretty good.
Excellent, Bill.
As long as the weather doesn't get 90 degrees.
Nothing we can do about that. Bill Pyles of Ohio Bowhunting Outfitters, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com is the website. Feel free to reach out to Bill. If you want me to make the connection, I can do that. Send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Again, a thank you to Security Credit Union for making each week's Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, Gabe VanWormer talks about his Michigan outdoor adventures and maybe his recent African outdoor adventures as well.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, and so glad to have you along with us. I was saying earlier in the show that I am an unapologetic fan of the state of Michigan. I've spent my entire career here, obviously the bulk of my hunting and fishing adventures here, raised a family here. My roots are here. I love this state. I absolutely love this state. And I love the fact that much of my career has been talking with and featuring others who have a passion for the outdoors and who love the outdoors like I do. Gabe VanWormer is one of those guys. Gabe is, I think he would describe himself as a Michigan guy. You know Gabe. He's been around the outdoor scene here in Michigan forever. He does a lot of work for Michigan Outdoors TV and also Fishing 411 TV. And you get Gabe behind a camera, the guy is an absolute master. He is very, very good at his craft. But he's also very good at the other side of the lens. He's also an excellent angler. He's an excellent hunter. And he's just a great storyteller, too. So, and I mean that in a good way. But that's what makes a great guest for the radio show, and that's why he's on with us this week. Gabe, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Just keep busy.
Well, keeping busy, I mean, that's an understatement, Gabe. I've been trying to get you on the show here for weeks, and every time I call, it's like, oh, I can't. I'm going to be at Lake Erie. Oh, I can't. I'm going to be in Ontario. Oh, I can't. I got this going on. You don't take much time to slow down and breathe, do you?
It's the world of a cameraman, or the life of a cameraman, just on the go. So I get weekends here and there, and yep, it's been pretty good. This spring has been a good spring, just busy. So,
well, busy is good though, isn't it, Gabe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Am I accurate in describing you as a Michigan guy as well? Do you think of yourself as a Michigan guy?
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. It's just fun being in this industry. It's pretty neat to see all the manufacturers and everything that's right here in Michigan. Not only do we get to go to cool places, Standard Rock and Lake Erie, Saginaw Bay, things like that, but also all the great manufacturers of outdoor products here in Michigan. It's really cool. Even this afternoon, I'm meeting some guys that are developing a new cartridge here in Michigan, straight wall cartridge that's going to be, used here in Michigan and throughout the Midwest, and they're from Adrian, right here in Michigan. And my bow that I shoot is made by a guy down the road here. My long bow and my quiver is made here in Michigan. And it's just fun to make light of or shed light on these Michigan manufacturers. And I think it's really cool to everything's here in Michigan. It centers around Michigan, the sport of hunting and fishing for sure.
Well, and I appreciate you bringing up these manufacturers, these companies, these outdoor-related companies, that we do have so many of them, and I think it's because so many people in our state have a passion for the outdoors, and they want to take their manufacturing background or their engineering background or just the fact that they've sat in a tree stand for hours or they've sat on a boat for hours, and they find what they think is a better way to do something, and they're willing to take a chance and try to make it happen. And we've seen a lot of great success stories here in our state.
Oh, for sure. And then they make one of them, and then their buddy wants one, and their buddy wants one, and eventually they're making them for everybody, and they quit their real job. So,
and the outdoors becomes their real job, which is not a bad gig, is it?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Gabe, I don't want to get too much into your business, but what can you tell me about this meeting today? And I bring it up because I know you as I'll say tinkerer, and I mean that again in a positive sense, that you like to shoot, you like to play around with cartridges and ballistics and accuracy. I see a lot of your posts center around that type of information or that type of activity.
Yeah, this one this afternoon, I've been working with these guys since last year. Out of the blue, you know how it is as a cameraman. Guys get a hold of you and say, "Hey, I got something new." And these guys got a hold of me and they shared some ballistics on a cartridge they've been developing. That's it's called a 41 Great Lakes, and it's basically a little bit more powerful, a little bit faster than a 450 Bushmaster, a 400, 350 Legend. It's faster and more powerful than all those, but has less recoil. And I was kind of intrigued. I thought, wow, that's kind of a better mousetrap, and let's see where this goes. And so we've been talking, and I ended up shooting a few deer with it last year and videotaped some other guys shooting it, and it performed super good. So, it's going. It's tough to break into the gun cartridge industry right now because there's so many different straight walls that have come out lately. But, in the Midwest, it's taken over. So, it's something that probably is going to get going pretty good here. It is a better one than, basically everyone out there that we have available. So we're pretty excited about it, and it's kind of neat to see these guys get excited about it. And I'm picking up a new gun today that'll, we'll be testing that out in the next few weeks here and see how it does. And I'm excited. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to tinker around and mess around with this stuff for sure.
Picking up a new gun, that's a good day right there.
Oh, it always is. Don't tell my wife.
No, she'll never hear that. And the thing about coming up with a new cartridge is that's only half of the battle, because like you say, then you've got to get a gun manufacturer or somebody to come up with a gun that can shoot it.
Exactly. That is almost all the battle. I mean, there's so many wildcats out there that people have developed over the years, and that's the major battle, is to try to get somebody to convince them to sell it for you or sell it to them, or however you want to market it. But that's where these guys are. They've got a great product. It's obvious that it's doing what it needs to be doing, but now they got to get it in front of the gun manufacturers, and there's a few that are biting on it. It's just there's a lot of stuff out there right now and have come out in the last couple of years, and so it's a little bit of a saturated market, and that's what they're up against. But I think it'll go. It'll be pretty cool, and they're right from Michigan, so it's kind of.
I love that. Yeah, I love that Michigan connection.
Yeah.
You've mentioned a term a couple of times, cameraman. You say you're just a cameraman. Listen. I think of a camera in my vernacular. We used to call them shooters, right? In television news, you were a shooter. Now that doesn't mean something bad, like a bad connotation. It's a videographer. We call them shooters, and I was a shooter for many years. Yeah. So there's nothing negative there at all. I love that. It's a skill set. But I think you are much more than that, Gabe. You're a content creator. You are an influencer, if I can use those types of terms these days. I mean, you got a lot going on, buddy.
I do. It's I don't like looking at myself that way. An influencer sometimes has a little bit of negative connotation, but I'm just a hunter and fisherman that I like sharing my stuff. So, it's fun to shoot something with a longbow, go over to, like you were talking about earlier, going over to Africa, shooting some stuff over there, and then just sharing it with people. And I really enjoy that. And that's how I see myself more as that than, content creator, but that is what I do. So,
well, let's talk about Africa for a minute here. I mean, we've established we are both Michigan guys and we love Michigan. But when I had the opportunity years ago to go to Africa, I jumped on it because I never thought that a West Michigan farm kid, myself, would ever grow up and have the opportunity to hunt Africa, something I'd seen on TV all my life. And it was a wonderful experience for me. What was it like for you, Gabe?
It was very hot. Yeah. We went in March, and they're supposedly they're supposed to be around 85 degrees, and they set a high record of temperatures over 100 degrees 3 out of the 7 days we were hunting. So it was a riot. We had an absolute blast. We went with M4 Safaris over there, and we just had a blast in South Africa. I was able to take 4 animals. I had 2 friends. They took 10 animals between them, and we just had a lot of fun. I couldn't believe the the great food that we had, and the animals just driving around and being able to see, you come around a corner and there's a giraffe looking at you, or a buffalo or something. I mean, it was incredible to see. Coming from here in Michigan, I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely, people are saying, everybody's talking to me going, oh, that's a once in a lifetime trip. And I think that my response to them is, I don't know that it's going to be a once in a lifetime. I think I might get back over there at some point.
Yeah, I was exactly the same way. It's like, now that I've seen it, I do want to go back for a second trip. Yeah, the first time a Michigan boy is sitting there in a blind over a water hole or whatever, and a zebra walks in or a giraffe walks in, it's like, I'm not in Kansas anymore, Toto. I'm not in Michigan anymore. It's breathtaking, and it's so rewarding to think that life got you to the position where you were able to see something like that God rewarded you with that opportunity.
Yes, for sure. It's unbelievable. I've been invited over there a few times, and it just hasn't worked out the last couple times, and this time it did, and it was just a riot. And like you said, just being able to sit there and see these different animals, and then you have to figure out, well, is that a big one or is that
yeah.
I don't really know how big this
I don't
thing
know
is.
exactly. Yeah.
That eland looks huge. Oh no, that's a female. Oh, so they have horns too. Okay, And getting over saying antlers versus horns
exactly.
versus antlers.
Hang tight, Gabe. I got a lot more to talk about. We're talking with Gabe VanWormer. You can find him a lot of places online, including his YouTube channel, which is wonderful. Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube. Gabe VanWormer. More after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. You can hear us in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. And you can hear us in Sandusky in the Thumb, WMIC 660 AM and 95.3 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by VersaSkins. Michigan-based, family-owned VersaSkins. Gabe VanWormer, who's on hold, was talking about Michigan companies. Here's a great example of that. Paul Perrone, the owner of VersaSkins, started looking around the hunting industry, and he said, why should we buy several sets of expensive hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality set of outerwear that is warm, wind-resistant, water-resistant, and of a very, very high quality, and then snap on and zip on an outer shell of a different camo pattern. It makes complete sense. You can change the pattern in less than a minute. They call it change the skin for the season you're in. Change your skin for the season you're in. The website is versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. If you're looking for big sizes, 4, 5, 6X, VersaSkins can help you out there. And if you are a saddle hunter, VersaSkins makes jackets specifically for saddle hunting as well. Again, the website, versaskins.com. I mentioned Gabe VanWormer. Gabe is my guest this hour of the Outdoor Magazine show. You can follow him many places online, including his YouTube channel. It's Full Quiver Outdoors. Gabe, before the break, we were talking about your recent African hunting adventure. Getting to Africa, that's an adventure in itself. I mean, I remember that plane ride, and being a pretty good-sized guy, it was, let me just say, I think it was grueling is a word I would use.
Yeah, that's definitely not the fun part of the trip, that's for sure.
What did you shoot? Well, were you bow hunting while you were there, or did you? No, I know you were rifle hunting because you were using a suppressor, weren't you?
Yes. Yep. I was this trip. I figured, I'll go over there the first time with a rifle, but I definitely want to get back there with a bow. I think that'd be an awesome opportunity. And there was 3 of us going, so I knew we were going to be under the gun to kind of get things done and shoot some animals and stuff. So I took a rifle this time. But you were talking about suppressors. That was really cool to be able to borrow a suppressor and shoot that and really kind of get a better understanding of that. And that's definitely something I'm going to be delving into a little bit more here in the next few months for sure.
I have a suppressor for my 350 Legend that I have not shot yet. I haven't shot it or dialed it in yet. But I'm so excited about that. As a guy who has screwed up my hearing in the past from shooting, I think more hunters should look at suppressors. And I will say the process of getting a suppressor, getting that tax stamp approval, has drastically ramped up since the first of the year. It's much faster than before.
For sure. Yeah, I've been talking with GSL suppressors down in Jackson, and they tell me that they're getting them sometimes in a day or two.
Yeah.
Doing the online form, and so I'm really excited to put one on my Brenton 350, and that's the one I'm really excited about for sure. And then when you're shooting with kids and stuff like that, you don't have to worry as much about hearing protection, and people just get the wrong idea about them. They think they're like absolutely silent, and it's not the case. It dulls it down to where it's a lot easier on your ears. You don't have to use, your hearing protection as much. And it just, man, is it nice. Oh. It is so nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to putting my Brenton/GSL suppressor on my Brenton 350 Legend, both Michigan companies. Yeah. And then this fall, hopefully, I'm going to get a bear tag and shoot a Michigan bear with my Michigan 350 Legend suppressor combo. I just think that'd be the perfect trifecta.
Now, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
All right, so let's turn our attention back to home, back to Michigan here, Gabe. What are you doing this time of year? I saw a recent post that you were out tinkering around with guns safely and responsibly, shooting, and a target of opportunity wandered in front of you.
Yeah, I was out. Actually, it wasn't even out shooting. Just happened to look out my backyard, and I've got a shooting range out the back, and saw a woodchuck. It was literally on my backstop on the berm, and I didn't want him digging in the berm, so I grabbed the first gun that was there, and it happened to be my 300 Winchester short mag, which isn't exactly a woodchuck gun, but it is accurate. And so I snuck around the house and took him out. So he won't be digging in the shooting berm anymore.
Well, they're so destructive. I mean, some people will eat woodchucks. I won't, but I was brought up that you don't shoot something unless you're going to eat it. I have changed my thinking about that a little bit. Obviously, that's something we all strive to do, but sometimes just the process of predator control is justification enough in my mind to take something out.
For sure. Yeah, I've got a lot of farmers around this area. You'll look out in their bean field and you see a semicircle around a woodchuck den, and they'll they just beg you to come out, shoot woodchucks anytime you want, because they're just so destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And you drop a implement down in one of those holes and they break them, and there's all sorts of stuff that happens. They get underneath their barns and destroy the foundations, and there's certain times I'm okay with it. But I have had a woodchuck at a wild game dinner. We attend a lot of those as when you're in the industry, and I've had woodchuck before, and it was heavily barbecued or smoked, and it wasn't too bad, really.
Well, and I hear you. My good friend, wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, gets a hold of something. He can cook anything up, right? If you put the right sauce on it and cook it the right way, anything is good. So, hey,
exactly.
I know you've been spending a lot of time behind that camera with the Fishing 411 crew, the Romanex, but you're an avid fisherman yourself. Have you had a chance to just get out and fish for fun, or do you even do anything in the outdoors for fun anymore without documenting it?
Oh, I do. Yeah. This spring, you might have seen some pictures or something of us fishing, but I think we were down on the Detroit River 4 or 5 times with my boat, and haven't got up to Saginaw as much this year just because it's been so good down in Detroit. But yeah, I absolutely do get out as much as I can. More of the hunting stuff is what I videotape more than anything. The fishing stuff, kind of my getaway. So I don't usually bring a camera when I'm doing that as much as possible, just so I can have some fun and not worry about things. So
you spend so much time. Yeah, you spend so much time on the water behind that camera with the Romanex crew. So I get that.
Exactly.
I don't care how much you love what you're doing, or how much you have a passion for it. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a break and get away and do it just blatantly for fun. Yeah, you might post about it later, but just have fun, right?
For sure. You got to have a getaway of some sort. Yep. Yep. And the rest of it is not as much a getaway anymore. It's more of a job. So yeah, you got to find those times to get away and hang out with your family and do some fishing, and it usually works out.
Do you consider yourself more of a walleye guy or a trout guy or what, Gabe?
You know, I used to be a lot more of a trout guy. I used to, kind of be a river rat. And then come, like early 2000s is when I got my first boat. And ever since then, it's been walleye only pretty much. I still enjoy wading the river every once in a while, but I just don't get out and do it very often. It's more of the get out on the walleye boat and go walleye fishing. So I've kind of fallen in love with that. That's for sure.
If you had to pick one activity in the outdoors, and I would never make you do this, but if you had to pick one,
it's bow hunting.
You didn't even hesitate. You didn't even hesitate.
No, it's bow hunting. Yep, you don't even have to ask the rest of that question.
And for you, bow hunting takes on its most pure and simple and basic and wonderful form.
Yeah, I really enjoy hunting with a stick and string only. The rest of my setup is pretty modern. I mean, I use carbon arrows and pretty high-tech broadheads and stuff like that. But the actual bow itself is a stick and a string, and I just like the challenge. It's not necessarily, we got kids in my family. They shoot a lot of deer, so we definitely have venison in the freezer. So it's not, I don't have to worry about that. So if I only shoot one deer a year, two deer a year with a longbow, not a big deal, so, but it is a lot of fun. Where compound bows hunt ends is about where mine begins. You got to get them in close, or at least I do. I'm not the best shot in the world, and 15 yards and in is really good with me. I really enjoy those shots more than a 20-yarder.
Well, so. I want to follow up on what you just said to make sure people understand. You said something about compounds and where the hunt ends and begins. Say that again, please.
Yeah, where the compound bow hunters hunt ends, where they end up shooting that deer, is about where I start hunting. That's where they get the deer within 25 yards. They might take a shot and kill a deer. That's about where my hunt begins to get interesting. They got to be inside that for me to shoot. And, that's where I'm starting to get real excited. Once they get inside 25 yards, that's where I'm starting to get real excited that this might happen. So, yeah. Yeah, and it is super exciting, super rewarding once you do shoot one with a longbow or recurve, and it's just a riot.
It is. It certainly is. Are you? One thing I never hear you talk about, Gabe, is bear hunting.
Yeah, I do a fair amount of bear hunting, but we do it with dogs.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we do a fair amount with dogs and everything. I just don't have as much time in September. September is kind of a busy season with the kids going back to school and, the youth hunt coming in and all that stuff. So I love to bear hunt. I really do. It's just spring is always a busy time for fishing, so we don't get up into Ontario like I'd love to. But I really enjoy bear hunting a lot. Bears are such interesting creatures, and they're fun. They're a lot of fun.
There's something about bears that fascinates me, and I don't know if it's that I just don't see them every day like deer. I can see deer every day if I want to. If I make a drive around, I will see a deer every day of the year if I want to. And bears down here where I live in the central part of the state, yeah, we've got them, and you might see them on a trail camera or maybe occasionally see them, but you're not going to see them very often. Maybe that's why my fascination with bears is so intense, is that I just don't get to see them very much. But they're a beautiful, fascinating animal to me.
They're one of my favorite just to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, sitting over a bait pile and watching them just interact with each other and stuff, they're just really neat creatures. Just a deer is something else. They just kind of walk around, eat and sleep and poop. And, bears just, I don't know, they're kind of curious, and, the things they do are kind of funny sometimes. And I love watching a bear. They are fun.
Yeah. Well, listen, I would encourage you to listen to next week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, because a buddy of mine, Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats, is in Ontario right now. He was sitting in a ground blind, and he had a bear come into the blind. So listen for that story. But that's part of the fascination of bear hunting. Gabe VanWormer, always appreciate our conversations. You're a great guy. I would encourage people to check you out online, including the Full Quiver Outdoors YouTube channel. And I look forward to talking with you again soon, Gabe.
Great to talk with you again, Mike.
Gabe VanWormer right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. You can hear us in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. And you can hear us in Saginaw on WSGW 790 AM 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now. As I look out the window, it looks like it wants to rain. And that's probably why the crowd is down just a little bit. Because they're waiting for the man who I'm in here in the studio with, Charlie Rood. They're waiting for him to leave. They have signs of adoration. They're chanting, Charlie, Charlie. Charlie, you're a legend. You should see the look he just gave me. Anyway, Charlie, appreciate your help on this show. Also appreciate the fact that this segment of the show is brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. Let Reader create an outdoor getaway in your backyard as they have for me. In fact, we're starting phase 3 of our backyard project here soon. I'm on the schedule. I don't know when it's going to start, but we're going to extend the... We're taking out some mulch, and we're going to put some stones back there. So the whole house will be encircled in stones. And it really, really looks nice. And it's to be honest with you, it's a project that I could do. I know how to do that type of thing. I've done that type of thing in the past, but I don't want to do it now. What I do want to do is have the Reader guys come over because their crews are hardworking, they're conscientious, and they do a good job. Whether it's a landscape project of a smaller scale, like I'm doing, a bigger scale, meaning an entire backyard patio or a backyard kitchen, or maintenance, Reader can take care of it. It's a one-stop shop for all of your outdoor needs, whether it's your primary residence, so you've got a place up north or whatever. The Reader crews can travel. They will. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. Oh, what's going on here? As I look at my list of things to talk about this week, don't forget about it. I keep pushing this because I think it's such a good cause, and I'm so excited about it. The golf outing we're going to have in West Branch, Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. And this is to benefit. Proceeds will benefit. We're not going to make any money on this. Nobody's putting any money in their pocket. At least I'm not, or the folks from MUCC are not, other than towards the youth camp. Any money we bring in is going to go directly to MUCC's youth camp. That is a camp designed and geared towards getting kids involved in the outdoors. I don't think outside of a church experience, and the goals we have in the church, right? That's one thing. That's the highest altruistic goal, right? There's no doubt about that. But here on this earth, getting kids involved in the outdoors, I just can't see any better goal we can have. So what we're trying to do is raise money to help MUCC's youth camp. They've got some facilities they need upgrading. That's the main thing the money's going to be used for, and I would love to see you there. I've had people say, Avery, it sounds like a good goal, but I'm not really a golfer. We don't care. Honestly, we're going to be there to have fun. Whether you're a scratch golfer or a duffer or somewhere in between, we'd love to have you there. If you want to be a part of this, go to the website mucc.org/golf, mucc.org/golf. There you can sign up to play and or be a sponsor of the event. We're going to fill the event up. We do still have a few more spots. But we're going to fill it up. There's no doubt about that. But what I would like to do is I'd like to see more companies and or individuals come on board and help sponsor this event so we can make as much money as possible. I have no doubt this will be a successful event. I'm thinking it will be an annual event. But if we can kick this first one off with a real bang, I think that would be great. Sponsorship levels are it's very easy to get involved. I mean, the tiers that have been set up are pretty low. Pretty low. You can get involved pretty cheap. mucc.org/golf, mucc.org/golf. A couple of things here. I was talking in the first hour about how two of my recent fishing trips on Saginaw Bay, I've actually struggled a little bit. And even though I know that the goal of a fishing trip is not to go out and catch a bunch of fish, the experience is the experience, and I had great crews on board, and we had wonderful days on the water. it does, if you have a couple of trips where you struggle, at least with me, it does start to do a little bit of a psychological thing. It's like, boy, I thought I had this dialed in. I thought I knew how to do this. And that's the thing about walleye. They'll do that to you. They're like turkeys. They will turn you inside out if you let them. Because I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right areas, but the fish just aren't cooperating. So I find myself going, leaving fish to find fish. Don't do that. I know better than that. So I do have a trip scheduled for tomorrow, Mother Nature willing, because we're supposed to get some wind tomorrow. But I think I can get out there, and we're going to give it another shot, and we will see how it goes. I will be at Linwood Beach Marina on Saginaw Bay Sunday for the Walleye for Warriors event. I'm not fishing in that event. I'm not taking any veterans out, but I will MC that event. If you would like to be a part of that and just welcome our vets, early afternoon, I think it's 1 o'clock, at Linwood Beach Marina on Saginaw Bay. Our boats will be coming back in the channel, and I'd love to have you be there and be a part of it. This Walleye for Warriors. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I do weekly live streams on Wednesdays, every Wednesday morning at 8:45. We call that Behind the Mic, because I'm behind the microphone here in the studio. And every Wednesday night at 7 for the world-famous Wednesday Night Live. That's 7 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, we're going to wrap it all up as we always do, or almost always do. We're going to talk to wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar right here on Outdoor Magazine. The fastest 3 hours in radio. It has to be. Seems like I just sat down here in the studio in front of this microphone 20 minutes ago. And it's been 3 hours. I think that's because I enjoy what I'm doing so very much. And I realize not everybody can say that. I'm blessed to be able to say that. And I have you to thank for it. The fact that you listen to the show, you listen to the podcast, you follow my social media posts. It's a big deal, and it means a lot to me. It also means a lot to me that wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar has been willing to put up with me for so many years and to make himself available every week for either a radio show or a TV show, and he's with us once again. David, welcome back. How's it going?
It's going very well. And yourself, Mike? I hear that music, and all of a sudden you're there.
I know. It's like magic.
It is.
I hear that music in my sleep, though.
Me too.
What do you have for us this week, David?
Well, we've got a salmon and fettuccine Alfredo, which when we had the restaurant open, it was by far heads above all the other Alfredos that we ever did. So, and you're going to need about pound and this would be for 4 portions. A pound and a half of boneless, skinless salmon fillets. You could either cut it into strips or in cubes, small cubes, like bite size. A medium onion diced fine, 4 or more cloves of garlic diced up real nice and fine. And you want to crisp up about 8 to 10 pieces of bacon and crumble it up, chop it up real pretty fine, not, mush, but a couple ounces of a dry white wine. You'll need a quart of half and half, 1/2 to 3/4 of a stick of fresh butter. Margarine will not work with this. You have to have the butter. About a pound and a half of a fettuccine cooked al dente. You need some basil, whether you use fresh. If you're going to use fresh, chop it up fine, or you could use the dried, about a half a teaspoon. A package of snow pea pods or just regular peas, fresh or frozen. A cup of Parmesan cheese, a couple tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley, and nutmeg would be an option. We always use it at the restaurant, and if you don't have any, by all means, don't use it. And lots of fresh ground pepper at the very end. Mike's favorite.
Yep.
So either cut, like I said, you're going to cut the salmon in 1 by 3 inch julienne strips or cubes. Put it on the side there. In a large, heavy-bottom sautepan, you want to saute the onions, the garlic, and the cooked bacon and a little bit of butter, not a lot, because the bacon's going to cast off a little bit of oil too. You don't want to brown the onions. You just want to cook enough to set the flavor, simmer it. Don't cook it too fast. Then you can add the wine, and you want to reduce it down real fast by half volume. And then you want to add the half and half, as much as you think is going to work, and the fresh butter. When it comes up to a rolling boil, cook it real good. Add the pasta, reduce the heat to a simmer, and stir often for just a few minutes, because you don't want to keep cooking the pasta any more than al dente. And then you can either add the basil, the nutmeg, and put the salmon or the peas or the pea pods in, and just stir it gently. Don't break up the salmon into too much small pieces. So just be careful with it. You can, and simmer for about 3 minutes more until the salmon is just done. You can add some Parmesan cheese, and this will be the thickener, or you can use the pasta as a thickener also, because it'll cast off some of the flour thickening, and the Parmesan cheese will be also thickening, and save some of the parm to sprinkle on top. And you can serve the pasta on large platters, kind of divide up the salmon amongst everybody, put a little bit of chopped parsley, Parmesan, and lots of fresh ground pepper to bring up that flavor. I just loved it. We sold this probably for 30 years. People loved it.
Well, and it's got pepper, as much pepper as you like. Yeah. I love that. You mentioned a term that I've heard you use before that I think I understand. Al dente?
Right. Al dente means it's whether it's a vegetable or a pasta, you want to cook it so it's crispy but done, not mush. Whereas a lot, because you're going to leave the pasta al dente when you first make it, and then by the time you cook this for another 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, it should be just about perfect for everybody.
Now, you're making this with salmon. What else would work, Dave?
Boy, any saltwater fish would work great. You could use cod. The salmon, to me, has one of the best flavors of all. You could use the head part of walleye, which is nice and thick, and that would stay together pretty decent, too. The tail part might cook down to nothing, but...
This would, if you're using walleye, this would be a good one for the bigger fish.
Yes, the head part, where it's thicker, and you could get cubes and strips out of that.
Gotcha. All right, David, always a pleasure. I will wish you a good week, and we'll talk again next time, all right?
Be safe out on the water, everybody.
Absolutely. Wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show. But as I was saying earlier, you are as well. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to do this. And at this point, I don't know what I would do. I don't know, a greeter at Walmart? Maybe I can talk the guys at Jay's into having a greeter at Jay's. Hi, Mike Avery here. Welcome to Jay's. How are you today? Maybe that's an option. I don't know. I don't know what else I would do. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Love to hear from you. Send me your pictures, your videos, your comments, and maybe I can post them on my Facebook page. Have a great week, my friends, and I'll talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.